All right, today we're diving into a really powerful story that captures a feeling I think we all know. That exact moment when our parents, who once seemed like these huge, untouchable figures, suddenly become, well, human.
So let me ask you something. Think back for a second. Do you get your parents more now than you did when you were a kid? I mean, are there things they did that used to drive you nuts, but now you're older and you think, oh, that's why they did that? Well, this story is all about that exact shift, and we see it all through the eyes of a little girl named Kezia.
Okay, so to really get into this, we first have to understand Kezia's world. And in her world, her father, he isn't the guy she runs to for a hug. Nope. He's the one she runs from.
And that right there, that one line, it sets the whole scene. There's no gray area here. Her main feeling for her dad is just fear. And this isn't some small detail, right? It's the filter she sees her entire world through, and it completely colors every single moment they share. I mean, can you just imagine that for a second? The best part of her morning isn't a warm hug or a kiss goodbye. It's the sound of his carriage getting further and further away. That huge sigh of relief she feels, man, that tells you everything you need to know about the feeling in that house.
And this line, this just nails it. It perfectly captures how she sees him. He wasn't just a tall guy. In her mind, he was literally a giant. Think about it from a kid's perspective. His huge hands, his neck, his mouth when he yawned, everything about him was just massive and, frankly, kind of terrifying.
And you know, this fear she has, it didn't come from one big bad thing happening. Nah, it was more like a slow drip, this constant buildup of little things every single day. And it really paints a picture of that classic turn-of-the-century kind of dad, right? The distant patriarch who's all about giving orders, not giving hugs. That loud voice, the look he gives her over his glasses, it all just stacks up until he becomes this giant she's always trying to escape.
So all this fear she's feeling, it's about to get locked in place by one single event. An event that starts as an act of love, but goes so wrong.
Oh man, you can just feel the train wreck coming as this all plays out. Her grandmother has this sweet idea. Hey, why don't you make your dad a gift, a little pincushion? So Kezia, trying to do something nice, needs to stuff it with something. She looks around and finds some papers she thinks are just old scraps. She tears them all up into tiny little pieces, but oh no, those weren't scraps. They were his big, important speech for work. And when he finds out, he doesn't see a little girl's mistake. He just sees red.
And this is probably the most heartbreaking part. He's standing over her with a ruler, about to punish her, and all she can do is stutter out her defense. She's trying so hard to tell him, I did it for you, it was for your birthday, that it all came from a good place. But he's too mad to even hear her.
So later, she's just sobbing in her grandma's arms, and she asks this question. And it's just this cry of pure confusion and despair from a little kid. You know, from where she's standing, this big authority figure in her life has only ever brought her pain and fear. It's a devastating moment, and it completely solidifies how she sees him. But then something changes. Something happens that starts to create a little crack in that solid wall of fear. She gets a peek into a totally different world, and it's right over the fence, next door.
Yup, meet the Macdonalds. Kezia is peeking through a little gap in the fence, and what she sees is a family that is the polar opposite of her own. And this contrast is everything. Okay, so think about it. Her dad on a Sunday, he's passed out on the sofa, snoring. You don't go near him. But Mr. Macdonald next door, he's in the thick of it. He's playing tag, he's laughing, he's got kids literally climbing all over him. He's not some scary giant, he's part of the game.
And that's when it hits her. It's a super simple idea, but for her, it's a total game changer. It's this realization that, wait a minute, not all fathers are like my father. There are different kinds out there. And just that one thought is enough to open up this tiny little crack of light in her very dark, very scary world.
Okay, so this brings us to the real climax of the story. We're at a point where everything she knows, all her daily routines, they just fall apart. And it throws her and her father into a situation they've never, ever been in before. All of a sudden, her safety net is gone. Her mom's at the hospital, and her grandma's gone with her, so Kezia is left alone with just the cook. And all those old childhood fears of the dark, they come rushing right back. And then she has a nightmare. She wakes up screaming her head off. She's terrified of this butcher with a knife that she saw in her dream. And what's her first instinct? Granny! She wants her grandmother, her usual comfort. But Granny's not there. Instead, the giant appears. Her father walks into the room.
And this is where she's just completely floored. She's expecting him to be angry, to yell at her for waking him up. But what she gets instead is something she's never, ever gotten from him before. Gentleness. He just picks her up, carries her to his bed, and tucks her in. And that one act, that one simple act of kindness, that's the whole turning point. It's like years and years of fear and misunderstanding just start to completely unravel all in one night.
So she's still kind of half asleep and really scared, and she scoots in close to him. She grabs onto his shirt and holds on tight. And right there, in that moment of feeling safe and warm, her fear of the dark, and more importantly, her fear of him, it just melts away.
And as she's lying there, all these new thoughts just start flooding her mind, one after another. Wait, he's not so big after all. He's just a man. A man who has to work so hard that by the end of the day he's just too tired to be like Mr. Macdonald. And for the first time, she gets it. His quietness isn't because he doesn't like her, it's because he's exhausted. And who looks after him? Nobody. She even feels bad about tearing up his speech. And his hardness, which used to be so scary, now she thinks of it as a nice hardness, like a strong protective feeling.
And that brings us to the very last line, the perfect end to her whole journey. She can feel his heart beating against her, and she finally understands. Behind that big, scary, tired giant, there was a really big heart there the whole time.
What a powerful transformation, right? And it all came from one tiny moment where they were both vulnerable. It really makes you think, doesn't it? What's a small moment in your own life that completely flipped the script on how you saw someone you love? Something to chew on. Thanks for joining me.